Stellar just got into a huge project, a partnership with 140 companies to create a new stablecoin, OpenUSD. But the XLM price is going down just like the rest of the altcoin market. Is this potentially an opportunity though? Here's an announcement by Open Standard introducing OpenUSD. Visa, Stripe, Mastercard, American Express, they all participate. And Stellar in particular tends to have quite a bit of interest by the average retail investor, at least if the average retail investor is watching this channel. The last Stellar video on this channel got 46% more views than the average video on this channel. And the chart does not look bad at all. We tend to be in a trading range, the potential risk to reward, which is an appreciation of 150%, also signals a potential opportunity. Now let's have a look at the on-chain data. Let's have a look at the marginal buyer and seller to figure out if this is the likely outcome. Hi, my name is Gerhard. I've been in the crypto space for the last 8 years. I hit my first million 3 years ago, and it is mainly through active trading of altcoins. My track record is on the website down below. In the last 2 years, I started to publish my trades in real time. And while most people have lost a lot in the last 24 months, we are now with the open positions at a new all-time high. Now, every single trade that I've made in the last 2 years is logged on this public website. All of the closed trades are directly over here. All the winners, all the losers, and the positions that are currently open are, of course, for the premium members of this channel. Now, unfortunately, on Twitter, or now known as X, there's not really great content around Stellar. There's mainly charts, there's mainly memes, but I try to focus on the data that actually gives us an edge in the market. If you are using X, then feel free to check out the account of this channel. That's @BitcoinStrat. So make sure that you follow the right account and not a fake account. @BitcoinStrat is the only official real account. Now, fundamentally, Stellar doesn't work that differently to other blockchains. It's one of the OG cryptocurrencies, and it's got a relatively quick time to finality. Only 5 seconds. That's faster than Bitcoin or Ethereum. And while initially XLM underperformed the rest of the altcoin market, so this is now XLM divided by the others market cap, others is all the altcoins that are not in the top 10. Stellar did not do that well. This seems to be recently turning around. We've got higher highs that align relatively well, and also one instant of a higher low. And maybe that's justified because the TVL, the total value locked, the capital that's on Stellar, tends to grow relatively consistently over time. The problem is that while XLM tends to outperform the altcoin market, it does not outperform Bitcoin. And fundamentally, we always want to buy an altcoin where we can justify the additional risk, right? Bitcoin is the least risky of all of the cryptocurrencies. If we take on more risk by buying something with a smaller market cap, we should also expect higher returns. Why buy otherwise those small altcoins? And this chart is not pretty at all, I have to be honest. In the past, when we hit that resistance, Stellar underperformed Bitcoin by more than 60%. If we ride the trend for long enough, it can even underperform by 90%. Yes, more than half of the Stellar supply got burned, but the tokenomics are still not that great. Over the next 12 months, we will see an increase in circulating supply of 7.1%. Why is that a problem? Because Bitcoin supply only grows by 0.8% per annum. This increase in total value locked over time is good, but the market cap of Stellar is 6.8 billion. So an increase of 7.1% of the supply per annum means a dilution of almost $500 million. And that's every single year. And the TVL is at less than half of that. That's the fundamental problem, the token dilution. 7% doesn't sound like much, but when the market cap is so high, it's still significant selling pressure. So as an altcoin, relative to other altcoins, Stellar is not bad. Relative to Bitcoin, it's currently in a tricky spot. In other words, I do expect that Bitcoin will outperform most altcoins in the near future. This is Bitcoin relative to the smaller altcoins. It tends to trend up since the beginning of 2022. So over the last 4.5 years, and we are just in the process of bouncing off the support. Bitcoin could easily double from here relative to the altcoins. Now, this could mean that the altcoins sell off sharply. This can mean that Bitcoin makes some gains. while the altcoins just lose a little bit. This is just about the relative performance. How is Bitcoin set up relative to the smaller alts? There's also another issue with Stellar, and that is its strong correlation in price movements relative to the social attention. What we see as this bar chart over here, that's the number of social mentions. How often is Stellar getting mentioned on social media across various platforms? And we can see when there's a lot of social activity, the price shoots up because there's simply more attention. When there's less activity, the price tends to go down. And we had another spike of activity 1 month ago, and that's now declining. In other words, the price is likely going to follow again. Now, there's not just a spot market. In the spot market, we had 20 million worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. On the perpetual futures market, we had more than that, 71 million. Most people that trade Stellar, so the XLM token, via leverage, via perpetual futures, they used to be very bullish, as in there was a positive funding rate. That funding rate is now more balanced. So it's the longs versus the shorts that fight with each other regarding a direction. What drives the market though is the leverage, just how much interest is currently in the asset. When open interest is high, that means many people are betting on Stellar. When open interest is low, there's less people that bet on Stellar. And the spot price tends to just follow that open interest. Whenever open interest crashes, the spot price tends to follow as well. We have come up in open interest, now we're getting back down, and so will the price very likely again follow. The short term, at least relative to Bitcoin, I don't believe looks that great. And the long term is also questionable, given the high token inflation. Yes, the news don't look bad. And there's also the cooperation with the DTCC, right? Bringing tokenized assets on the Stellar blockchain. But that's just the intention of launching a product. And then we don't know if that product will get any adoption. And crypto is highly competitive. We have already trading of traditional finance assets via leverage on Hyperliquid. So that's perpetual futures on the S&P 500, on technology stocks, on commodities, etc. Now, I like to determine rules, how to best trade an asset based on backtests, based on simulations of buying and selling. And here is the simulation for Stellar. If we use the cross of the 2-day and 8-day simple moving average, we tend to outperform buying and holding Stellar by more than 70 percentage points per year. And that tends to happen very consistently, right? This is the Stellar price at the top and our strategy equity curve that's at the bottom. And so according to that strategy, Stellar actually still looks bullish. The 2-day SMA is above the 8-day simple moving average. So we want to buy whenever we get a golden cross. We want to bet on falling prices whenever we get a death cross. We got the golden cross on the 30th of June. But again, I don't think it makes sense to be too optimistic about Stellar. I am considering to enter a short position to bet on falling prices once we get another death cross, just to take advantage of this setup and to make money while open interest declines. And again, this trading strategy worked very well. We just look at how is the 2-day and 8-day simple moving average relating to each other. Now, there are, of course, our failed signals every now and then, but that's why we do the backtest to figure out what historically worked the best. We definitely don't want to bet on falling prices as long as the 2-day SMA is still above the 8-day SMA, because the rally can continue for many, many days. We want to wait it out. And so right now, I'm just waiting for the death cross. I'm not betting on a rising price at the current valuations, but I might enter a short once we get that trading signal. And so that's in general my approach when trading altcoins. We are just looking at what is the best approach historically, and then we follow that approach. So for example, here, when we shorted Luna Classic, we're just looking for the death cross. So that's over here, right? The longer term moving average went above the shorter term. That's when we bet on a falling price. And then subsequently, we of course close that position once we get the golden cross. So that's a strategy that worked for us very, very well over quite a bit of a sample size, 183 trades. And we are making money quite consistently. Now, I cannot share all the open positions here on YouTube, but there is this website linked down below in the pinned comment. You can get one of the premium trades for free. That's a trade that I currently hold. It's also a trade that many people in premium currently hold. I believe this trade will still make money. You can either connect your Telegram or you can put in your email, and then you will not just get the trade setup, you will also get a free premium tutorial video that will explain how to set up that trade. So that's 100% free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to put in a credit card. This is just for you to try out our trading approaches and make first money. And once you learn something and once you made the profit, then of course you can still consider to join premium here as well. But this here is 100% free. There are no strings attached. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time. Cheers.